I love this, dude. All of America's wealthiest capital owners are sitting around biting their nails at the whims of seemingly a madman. It's awesome.
President Trump set to announce a sweeping new round of tariff sales taxes that will have a huge impact on consumers and the economy. Rebecca Jarvis is going to break that down after this report from Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, after weeks of uncertainty and anxiety, in just hours here, President Trump is finally set to unveil his most aggressive tariffs yet. He says they will restore fairness to the global trading system and ultimately grow the U.S. economy. But economists warn American consumers will pay the price. This morning, the country and the world bracing for impact as President Trump prepares to unleash reciprocal tariffs on America's trading partners, what he's calling Liberation Day.
What they do to us, we do to them.
But it remains unclear what exactly the president will announce today. The scope of these tariffs and which countries will be targeted still unknown.
He's with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect.
This is one of my favorite parts of the Trump administration. Aren't you a treat-lite yourself, lol? Yeah, I am. I love treats. But also, if there was a world where, well, first of all, it won't impact me. It doesn't matter. Everybody likes to talk about how much money I spend, but like for how much money I make, the amount of money I spend is negligible. Okay, so it's not a real issue. I'm being very honest with you. Many people in my financial circumstance will lie to you and be like, "Oh, this is really hitting me hard." Rich people are lying to you when they say that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, as a treat-lite myself, ultimately, if there was a limitation on what kind of treats I could consume that still yielded tremendous bounty for the American working class, I would take that in a heartbeat. I don't give a f. I've said this before. I would literally dump the hay can in the goddamn ocean if it meant that we could have walkable cities in Los Angeles and public transit. I would never even look at it ever again. That's you know, it's so stupid. My advocacy revolves around trying to raise taxes on people like myself. This is not like a gotcha at all. Having said all of this, hold on. My garage is called the Ocean. Yeah, I would literally ocean. I was pro trade protections policy BYD U9 speed. Got to try out, and now my treat-lite mind started foaming and shaking. Yeah, I know. One of my favorite parts about the Trump administration always is like they have the energy of me during finals as school, where it just everything feels haphazard and slapped together last second. It's like they've been talking about implementing these tariffs for months now. Donald Trump said he was going to do it the entire time for like a year before he even before the election. Right before the actual election day, he was like, tariffs is my favorite word. And it's like, now the time has come. He set himself, he set this hard deadline on himself. And even then they're like, they're working round the clock. They're up late night trying to figure out these tariffs. It's like, what do you mean they're up late night? This guy's been saying he wanted to do this for a year and a half. Why are they talking about tariffs literally the day before he implements them? Are you guys crazy? What are you talking about? This isn't some bull class that you took in college to get an easy A to beef up your overall grade, okay? This is the global economy. This is the entirety of the American economy. And these guys are like, yeah, we're working tirelessly around the clock. We're planning it. It's like, well, maybe you should have planned it before you came out with this idea. This doesn't make any sense. What the hell?
Perfect deal for the American people and the American worker.
The uncertainty is injecting fresh concern into an already jittery stock market, as economists warn American consumers.
More than Biden did in his whole term, though. That is hilarious. Okay, first of all, I love the cope from Republicans. I know this chatter is joking, but like, no, that's not the case. Okay? I'm sorry. If anything, the issue with the Democratic Party is that they don't do enough of this. There's a balance here, okay? Sometimes you do have to break things and move fast and then pick up the pieces afterwards, especially if your direction is appropriate, especially if your direction is pro labor unions, pro working class, right? The Democrats never do that. That is my problem with them. They never do that. They are genuinely terrified. They endlessly focus test every single minute detail until their plans are basically nothing. And they are so conciliatory. They come to the table they come to the bargaining table pre-bargained. And then they reduce the policy implementation after the fact too. It is one of the most annoying aspects of this. It's one of the most annoying parts of how the Democrats operate. It's one thing that I always say when I'm like, Democrats should do politics like the Republican Party and not the policies of the Republican Party. Okay? I wish they were just like moving fast. Can you imagine Build Back Better is like, oh, look alive, Jack. We're doing an engineering core. I don't care. Oh, you don't like it? Well, guess what? You'll like it when the potholes are fixed in your neighborhood. You know, that type of shit. That's the energy that I wish Democrats ever had. Of course, Brandon would never be able to do that because he's dead. He's a dead man. He was a cadaver. Okay?
Consumers will bear the brunt of this. Tariffs on imported products are taxes paid by American businesses. Those costs are then passed along to consumers in the form of higher prices on everything from groceries and electronics to cars and clothes. The president insists his tariffs will ultimately boost the economy and encourage manufacturing in the U.S., but it could take years to ramp up production on American soil. The message from the White House:
yes, of course it will take years to ramp up production. And of course there will be growing pains. The problem is the guy that is implementing this is not pro-labor. And therefore, I don't even know what reason he's implementing this for to begin with. It just doesn't make any sense. I suspect he backtracks from the tariff stuff eventually. He's just going to backtrack. Answer my dono, shoe sniffer 42. Write it in the chat instead of donating it. This is so funny because like CEOs can take a tiny bit of stagnant millions and not raise our prices. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Let's be real.
Have faith.
You should trust what this president did for you in his first term. He effectively utilized tariffs while driving down inflation.
But experts have concluded the tariffs during Trump's first term drove prices up. The president sees these new tariffs as a means of economic redemption, a way to punish countries that he feels treat the U.S. unfairly.
Many countries have taken advantage of us.
He has acknowledged Americans could feel some
I've been avoiding the news. How do I do self-care to stay aware? Wait, what? Okay, dude, I'm not going to answer that question right now. Come on.
Short-term economic pain. The big question, how long will it last? Consumers now rattled and racing to make big purchases like cars before the tariffs hit.
This weekend alone, I think we sold and delivered probably about 40 cars, which is 20-30% above.
Yeah, what's funny about this also is that it has led to a short-term boost. Now, obviously, car prices are immediately going to go up. Ironically enough, it's going to go up regardless because of the tariffs, even if their inventory is not diminishing. Like a big chunk of the inventory that they have so far pre-tariffs, they're going to burn out of. But in that process, these guys are going to take advantage of the commotion. They're going to take advantage of the chaos. They are going to pump those numbers to the best of their ability. That's the other side of this, because no one, and I mean no one, cares about their fellow neighbors, okay? They only care about this. So it will have an inflationary effect even before the tariffs are implemented.
Of normal.
In Brooklyn, New York, Robert Samuel decided it wasn't worth the risk to wait.
Yeah, I was going to purchase a car later down the line, but now that it's been updated with these tariff prices affecting us, I decided to come in today and leave with one of them today.
And the president will finally unveil these tariffs here in a Rose Garden ceremony at 4 p.m. after the
But a lot of people buying new cars are rich bastards. Dude, what are you talking about? Think about the entire economy, dude. There's like 330 million people on this in this country. Not every single person that's buying a Honda Civic is a rich bastard, okay? Like everyone needs a car, unfortunately. It's not. What are you talking about? Oh, Jesus.
Markets close. We are told they will go into effect immediately, George.
Okay, Marion, one other thing that's going into effect, these massive layoffs at the Department of Health and Human Services.
George, 10,000 layoffs are now underway at HHS. The move catching many off guard. We saw those long lines yesterday of federal workers outside buildings waiting to learn if they'd been fired. Some showing up only to discover their badges had been cut off. Now, among those fired, the FDA's top tobacco regulator under
Incredible work, sir. Thank you so much. Mass layoffs at federal agencies, mass price hikes. It's just like, it feels like you're just trying to break everything, and not even for some kind of decipherable good purpose where you're going to rebuild it in a way that benefits the needs of the 99%. You're just kind of breaking it. And it doesn't even feel like you're breaking it for capital owners either. It feels like you're breaking it for the sake of breaking it. That's what's so crazy.
Under whose leadership teenage tobacco use dropped to its lowest point in a decade, also laid off researchers working on everything from drug use and mental health to reproduction and infertility. And
it's awesome because ideologically, Donald Trump's actions here are, if they weren't so insane, if they were directional, if they were directed like a specific sector with the intention of like boosting manufacturing in the United States of America, Republicans will still have a hard time defending it because Republicans are free tradists. They love free trade. They defend capital. Capital loves free trade. It is perhaps the greatest way that you can instantly reduce the only malleable aspect of your commodity production, that is labor. That's the most malleable part of commodity production. Okay, unless you find a new sector where there's just like a robust amount of the ingredients that you need to build things, right? Without that, unless like natural resources boost or something, it's pretty set. Like prices prices for just like simply the things that you need to the raw goods that you need to build shit is set already, okay? Whereas the labor part of this is the most malleable aspect of it. It's the one that you can dominate. It's the one that you can always lower, okay? With technological improvements, you can always reduce the number of people that you have to pay for benefits on. You reduce the potential cost down the line if your workers are getting sick or hurt, and then you have to do additional payouts, right? It is the greatest way to improve your profit margins. This is precisely the reason why it was a massively beneficial move to be able to move manufacturing to a developing country, and to many developing countries, as a matter of fact. It was awesome for the capital owners. They did that. They were so stoked on it. Therefore, it's very difficult for the Republicans on Fox News defend this move, to defend the tariffs, which, albeit are being done also in a haphazard way. But even if they were done in a directional way, with direct coordination with like labor unions, for example, they still would have a hard time defending it. This is ideologically the exact opposite of what these people believe. They're free trade guys, okay? And the Democratic Party is also permanently on the free trade side of things. It's crazy. It's like a total uniparty position, with the exception of Donald Trump, it seems. It's very difficult for these guys, these poor guys, to defend these decisions. Let's take a look at what Fox and Friends had to say about this,
But Moody's comes out and they said that an escalation of the trade war could wipe out 5.5 million jobs and lift unemployment to 7%, and GDP could drop 1.7%. That's if people don't come off it, and Moody's is not for it. But the tariffs will apply and will bring a lot of money in on just the tariff goods. And let's see, the ultimate goal is to bring manufacturing back here. Right. Rokana doesn't think it's going to...
Nothing wrong with tariffs. I'm going to live an exciting life as a smuggler. Now is the age of sail. That's right. The world has yielded tremendous bounty for me. I am a pirate.
Bring manufacturing.
Well, Brian, that is the dream. Keep in mind, this is a gigantic experiment like we've never seen before. On paper, it looks great to the president and his team, who are talking about it would be great to bring jobs back to the United States. But keep in mind, people have got to come over here and build factories, and that takes years. And there's a lot of uncertainty on Wall Street and also in the business community about, okay, this new round of tariffs, how long is it going to last? Are they going to last 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? They've got to be able to plan, and that's why the stock market has been all over the place. That's right. And Jackie,
Oh man, it's just hard. You know, our brave, bold, beautiful president, who always is the best thinker, has the best interests of the wealthy in mind, I promise, and the working class in mind. He's doing his very best. But the problem is, you know, even when he's doing his very best, the market simply doesn't understand. You know, the market moves. The market thinks in decades. Donald Trump thinks in centuries, and that's the problem. And you know, growing pains. It's just growing pains.
Just thinking about that. The president's calling it Liberation Day, but maybe we should call it Libation Day, because you know Wall Street's all over the place. They might start hitting the soil.
No, that's good. That's good. It's a good thing, right? It's good when market volatility famously is a good thing, right? That's what capital owners love, especially when it's so volatile that you can't even you can't even make like discernible good stock trading decisions.
At 4 o'clock when they finally unveiled this thing. I was
maybe even sooner.
Yeah, that's right. I was reading this morning that apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, some people in the business community and on Wall Street are still banking on the idea that the White House might actually pull back on the tariffs if something bad happens to the economy. And I know Goldman Sachs.
I love this, dude. Everyone is just like, all of America's wealthiest capital owners are sitting around biting their nails at the whims of seemingly a madman. It's awesome. Oh, he's not serious, you guys. He was just memeing. He was just joking. I think, right? Right? You're joking, right? It's hard. It's hard for me not to look at this and laugh a little bit. I mean, it's sad because, as I've said time and time again, in the stock market, the gains are privatized and the losses are socialized. So when the stock market is up, you're not going to feel it. But when it's down, you certainly will feel it, right? And it is down, or it's been down for sure. So I have chatters talking about how like their 401ks are just like getting gutted in the process. My crypto bros cope by saying volatility is vitality. I am seeing a lot of crypto bros saying the exact opposite, because the crypto markets are crashing too. Like universities and law firms, CEOs stay quiet amid fear of getting crossed with Trump. As trillions in new tariffs come out, some see little upside in objecting even privately. What good would it do if they said anything? Said Mark Cuban. I've seen a lot of them saying it's a good thing because there's a fire sale. Yeah, they're stupid. I mean, they're in crypto anyway, so they're stupid regardless. Crypto bros cope is that this will crash the dollar and everyone will move to crypto is the dumbest argument that anyone could ever make. Because at the end of the day, one, you're living in America. If the dollar crashes, the entire global marketplace collapses. What are you talking about? And it will also crash crypto, as it is doing currently. So what the are you talking about? Everything is tied to the dollar. People are so dumb. What? This is a thing that I will never understand as well. Like Trump makes like these little schemes and grifts on the side for cryptocurrency millionaires and whatever. And that's one thing. But why in the ever-loving would an American leadership destroy the global petrodollar, the global currency, which is perhaps the most significant factor in America's global dominance? Why would they do that?
Predicting now with the tariffs, there's a 35% chance of a recession.
That has been put out there.
Oh my God. Why do I have so many? BTC still up 85K. What are you talking about? We've been hearing the haters on BTC for over a decade now, but what is the value at now? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh my God. Have fun, dude. Have fun. Okay? You're going to the moon. You're going to the moon, dude.
I think also the impact of a recession on other countries would be more difficult. For instance, with Canada, it will be harder for them to pull out of a recession, which is a big concern for them.
BTC is literally down, was up 125K before Trump, so I don't know what these chatters are saying. No, that's just normal. That's normal, dude. You don't understand. That's normal. It's going to go to the moon again. It'll shoot back up. Yeah, the tulip prices have been increasing for a decade. No way they will go down. How the f*** are you a crypto leftist I don't know. I don't know how that works, but honestly, more power to you guys, okay? More power to you guys. You understand? Have fun, you know? One crop away from bankruptcy. Republican Senator Tom Tillis warns Trump tariffs will do irreparable damage to farmers. Oh,
says
no.
There may be a little bit of pain before we get things right. Need to talk about farmers who are one crop away from bankruptcy. They don't have time, so we've got to be crisp on this implementation. Otherwise, we could do damage that's irreparable to farmers. Anyone who says there may be a little bit of
Yeah. No, it's good though. It's good. It's good. Listen, the Great Depression too. Many people are saying Trump is going to bring about the Great Depression too. I'm one of those people, but also simultaneously, I think it's great. After all, it's in the name. It's not shitty depression too. It's Great Depression. Why can't we be great? Make America great again. Make America Great Depression again. Magda. No bailouts for, no tariff exemptions for American farmers. They voted for the tariffs when they voted for Trump. Oh no. American farmers are pleading for exemptions from President Trump's tariffs. Republican members of Congress from farm states are working to deliver relief farmers want, but farmers do not deserve special treatment and should not get it, says David from. Oh, poverty builds character. I myself, of course, will not be experiencing the backlash from this, but for you, poverty will build character for you. Tariffs will indeed hurt farmers badly. Farms' costs will rise. Farm incomes will drop. Under Trump's tariffs, farmers will pay more for fertilizer. They will pay more for farm equipment. They will pay more for the fuel to ship their products to market. When foreign countries retaliate, raising their own tariff barriers, American farmers will lose export markets. Their domestic sales will come under pressure too. The 5D chess move was China throwing tariffs on Canada in retaliation, but also to bring to the table for oil. Let's see. Let's
Are
see.
You okay?
Oh, I love this. I love Republicans when they try to like defend Donald Trump. This is one of my favorite songs that I love listening to. I don't listen to much music, but this right here is the tune, okay? This right here is the whistle tune that I tap into. This is my frequency. I want to hear what the Asmongoaldian side is saying about the brilliant, brave, bold tariff agenda. Like how are the prominent Republican commentators, how are the prominent conservative commentators defending these decisions? I want to know.
With your constituents feeling more pressure and more pain when it comes to the economy as these tariffs are put in place, and then the retaliatory tariffs are also put in place. Are you okay with pain being on their shoulders for a while as this all gets worked out?
Nobody. It's just common sense. You develop an intricate network of global trade in an effort to benefit the American consumers, especially by way of capital owners charging super profits, making super profits for decades, only to undermine it with a indecipherable tariffs regime that will seemingly not even boost manufacturing, but its base is common sense. Everybody knows it's common sense. It's so common sense that capital owners don't understand it, and many parts of the left also don't understand it either, myself included. It's just common sense when only Donald Trump understands the decision making behind this initiative, which he will probably go back on, by the way. When the market starts screaming, when prices go up and people rise up in arms because their Twinkies are unaffordable, you know, the common sense position will be to go back on these decisions.
Nobody wants pain for their constituents. I don't want pain for the people of Florida.
But Donald Trump said there will be some pain and disruptions.
Hold on. But you are making an assumption without knowing the details.
I'm not making the assumption. Donald Trump himself said there was pain and disruption that was going to happen.
You're making an assumption. You are making an assumption, an economic assumption right now. Let's be very clear. The real pain economically has been the massive inflation coming from bloated overspending here in Washington, D.C.
This is so funny. Yeah. Washington, D.C. doing trans Sesame Street in Iraq, which is not even a crumb in comparison to, like, you know, social safety net spending, obviously, which is an absolute necessity. That's really breaking the bank. Also, do not look at the Defense Department. Do not try to audit the Pentagon. Do not look at the Defense Department. It's the overspending by Washington that has done inflation. Yeah, we're bloated. We're bloated because we're doing too much gay stuff in Washington. That's where the inflation is coming from, and not corporate consolidation that my party, the Republicans, and also in many instances the Democrats too, have allowed, so that there's like 3 corporations that dominate every sector, and they can very quickly rise prices regardless of what the demand looks like and regardless of what the supply looks like. It's awesome. It's fantastic. What are you talking about?
That is the real pain that the American people have felt the last 4 years.
Are you okay?
Also, these initiatives will legitimately raise prices. They will raise prices.
All right, here we
this
go.
Makes
Liberation
no
Day.
sense.
President Trump is set to roll out a wave of tariffs to advance America First economic agenda. It's going to rebalance trade. And the White House says they're going to go into effect immediately.
Lucas Thomason joins us live from Washington. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Lawrence, Ainsley, and friends. Today is what President Trump calls Liberation Day, when these new tariffs will be rolled out. Champions of free trade, going back to Adam Smith's invisible hand, don't believe they will work. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says they will.
They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time. They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. And we are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower.
Now, while details are not immediately clear, this is what we know ahead of President Trump's address this afternoon. The reciprocal tariffs could be less than what other countries charge the U.S. Rates may vary depending on country. The new tariffs could also apply to all countries, and sector-specific products such as steel and aluminum imports are already subject to a 25% tariff, and the car and auto parts import tariff are expected to begin today. The money will begin coming in tomorrow. And Goldman Sachs has raised the odds of a recession in the U.S. to 35%. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro says the new tariffs will bring in $6 trillion over the next decade, which is being called the largest peacetime tax hike in modern history, which will be paid for by the American consumer. Navarro said the auto tariffs alone will bring in $100 billion per year. And President Trump has acknowledged prices could rise, but said people are going to start buying American-made cars, guys.
Hey, Lucas, could we have last-minute deals, too? We saw Vietnam and Israel change their trade structure. We accepted that. Could the president be working the phones today, getting calls from other countries?
With President Trump, of course, he's known as a deal maker, guys. You saw what Israel did. They zeroed out their tariffs in the United States. Right. So perhaps we could have some last-minute deals. Mm-hmm. All it takes is a post on X.
There you go. Indeed. And, Lucas, did you say that one of those big investment firms says there's a 35% chance of a recession now?
I did, Steve. Goldman Sachs, they raised it up to 35%. It was like 15, 20% earlier because of the tariffs. We'll have to watch the markets with the opening bell.
Lots to talk about. Yeah. Lucas, thank you very much. He mentioned we got to watch the markets. Originally, this announcement was supposed to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the Rose Garden. But then they moved it back smartly because whatever is announced is going to impact the market.
Smartly? Dog, if your announcement is supposed to impact the market in a negative fashion, that is an indefensible move that you are, of course, trying to defend. That's so funny. Dude, he's like, no, you don't understand. This is actually a brilliant move this is actually a brilliant move because the decision is dog shit. And therefore it's good that they're doing it after the markets close. Okay, so what happens when the markets open tomorrow? Masterful gambit, sir. You will deliver a stay of execution for the markets for a total of what? 12 hours? Great. How do we think that pro-Trump gamers handle their consoles being more? Yeah. Nintendo Switch 2 costs $450. It costs $333 in Japan. The Japanese-only console version, but for the multi-region is $467. Culture Crave misinformation? Wow, I'm surprised.
What Wall Street hopes is there is some clarity, because right now businesses, they can't plan because they don't know, is it going to be drips, drabs? They're going to announce something today, something else next week.
Yeah, I want to hear from the pro-Trump gamers when they have to pay like $100 for Mario Kart. It's going to be awesome. That's what I want. That's what I want to know. Pro-Trump gamers, are you enjoying the show? I hope you have your popcorn, because he's not making it larger in video games, but he is making it more expensive for you to see even the gay video games that you don't want to play. He went too far. He came after gamers.
They need to know long-term whether or not they should invest money in new plants here in the United States. Because the worry is if they invest to build a factory here in the U.S. and then in a year or 2 or 3 or 4, free trade comes back, they get screwed by putting all that money back here.
All of this is because Trump wants free and fair trade. He doesn't want America to be taken advantage of, and we have under past administrations. He says not under my watch. You mentioned Vietnam. Vietnam has already cut duties on U.S. imports because of this. They've cut its tariffs in LNG. They cut it down to 2% from 5%. Cars down to 32%. Originally was 45 to 64%. Ethanol, 5%. It was 10%. In India, they reduced tariffs on motorcycles and whiskeys. Mexico, they deployed those 10,000 troops to the border to help with the immigration problem. The EU is proposing.
I think one of the funniest parts about this is like, ironically, and this might come as a surprise to people, but like free trade doesn't necessarily mean it's free. Okay. And one formative principle in the United States of America has always been that we don't necessarily have to make products that people want to purchase. We can just use our domineering power around global trade to force countries to buy our shit. This is a part of the problem. And I've been saying this, even with car manufacturing. If you want other countries to buy your cars, okay, make cars that they want to buy. Now, a big part of that is, of course, pricing, for sure, which tariffs would be able to, I guess, deal with if these countries were to reduce their tariffs for purchasing, reduce the tariffs, and then it's like cheaper in comparison. It just will never be able to compete with BYD, though, obviously. But also, there is another major issue. If the most popular car being manufactured in the United States of America by American manufacturers is a Ford F-150, which requires a commercial driver's license in other countries because it is a ginormous truck and it simply can't operate on European roads, for example, why the would they buy that? They can't. It just doesn't make any sense. They're like, no, you're going to fucking like you're going to have a Ford F-150 and you're going to like it. You're going to buy it. Buy our cars now.
Lowering tariffs on car imports from 10% closer to the 2.5% that Donald Trump wants. Canada unveiled a $1.3 billion security plan for the U.S. and pledged to have this fentanyl czar. So those are some examples. But as far as investments are concerned, Johnson & Johnson investing $55 billion. We heard from Apple, $500 billion. SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, $100 billion. Hyundai, $20 billion in the U.S. Nissan, $661 million. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. So it's working. Those are investments. It might, in the short term, be a little painful for Americans, but overall, this is about being fair.
A lot of it has to do with this unplowed ground. We've never seen this before. These are 10 times as big as the tariffs the president had last time. They were so effective. Joe Biden left them all in place. Everyone said the sky was going to fall. It didn't. These are about the size of William McKinley's, where he raised taxes on imports 50% in the 1890s. And it is the template President Trump has went with. Steve, you mentioned about building factories here. And are we going to build a factory here and end up zeroing out the tariffs? I don't think it's ever not going to benefit under the Trump years any company from coming back to America, down to zero, or coming to America. Right. You know, that's one of the things they balanced out in the 80s. Everything was targeted when Donald Trump first came out and said Japan's our problem and cars, we're losing our leadership in cars. All of a sudden Japan goes, what if I build Toyotas by you? What if I brought Honda there? And then we began to rebalance, and throughout most of the South, you got the Hyundai away from the unions, the Honda and
Apple in
Toyota.
Texas.
One person that continues to be a great messenger, not just for the Republicans.
Yeah, 1890, famously a really good time for the American economy. Please don't look at what happened after, okay? famously, the period between 1890 and like 1920 is a time that Americans know as the glory days. Okay, one of the best times for America, a real ushering in a second golden age. Don't look at what happened after. Even before 1890, there were market crashes basically every decade because there wasn't any welfare or financial system to stabilize things and support Americans. Yeah, it's really cool that Trump is also doing that. He's looking at all of the gains that were made, all of the initiatives that were taken in an effort to stabilize the American economy and saying, we should cut all of that and simultaneously bring it back to a stage where, you know, we have the golden age of the American economy. Deregulation, mass corporate consolidation. Wait, Chamath, what the is he saying? Had an eye-opening dinner last night with two CEOs working to build an American supply chain for battery, CAM, and rare earths. These are two important drivers of electrification, robotics, EVs, etc. The difficulties beating China won't come down to tariffs, but mercantilism. The Chinese have 1-2 national champions for critical parts of the global economy. Then they subsidize these NCs, national champions, as necessary, dump product to impact spot price markets, and shape profitability with loans and grants that collectively make these national champions impossible to beat. So what should America do? Hard question without a simple answer. But one thing is obvious. We are not nearly as organized as China is to even be able to point a few national champions in critical areas. One example, the Department of Energy and DOD have spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to do rare earth extraction from coal tailings at 100 ppm. Commercial companies can barely make profit at 6K to 60K ppm. What's the point of this? The money spent on coal tailings could have instead helped build domestic manufacturing supply chains years ago, but the large capital allocation and meeting of the minds to make these decisions isn't happening. We need better organization and top-down capital allocation if we are to play this game. A centralization of the economy, if you will. Interesting. Like, we need, I mean, he's literally saying we need central planning to be able to compete with China. The skill and prowess exists in the U.S. and its allies, but Chinese mercantilism is a fierce and dynamic force that needs to be met head on with equally smart tactics and capital allocation by America. How did this happen? Why are so many pro-capitalist monsters running around talking like China glazers, you know? Tankies. What is happening? Why are these guys talking like they're a bunch of tankers? What the hell is this? I thought China was collapsing tomorrow. I watched so many YouTube videos, guys. I watched so many YouTube videos that said China is collapsing yesterday. China is collapsing tomorrow. China has already collapsed. They're lying about their numbers. What the hell is going on? The issue is that Chinese companies don't have to consistently post 10 to 20% growth like American companies. They are happy with 2% growth, which means they undercut every U.S. company. The U.S. will never do this, though, because those companies and shareholders are too greedy. What is going on? Is it because the U.S. aid dried up? No, that's not the reason. It's because people are... Look, you can only maintain a silly position for far too long. If it's hammering you in the head, if it's brutalizing you over and over again, you inevitably have to go, all right, we have to admit our mistakes here. Because you can manufacture consent as long as you want, but you know, when your manufacturing is dried up and the situation is unmanageable and people's wallets are being hit in the process, you can't really just say, no. The shocks that you're experiencing are good, actually. People will riot. Some to consider. Real bad.
Republican Party, but for Donald Trump, knowing the Trump speak is Kellyanne Conway. I think this has become a patriotic message. You build here. This is for our workers here. It's a national security issue. We can't be getting our PPE. We saw what happened during the pandemic. We're getting all of this stuff from other countries. Kellyanne Conway explained what the president is trying to do.
President Trump is using tariffs to, one, raise revenues for this country, two, to recalibrate and make more reciprocal our trade imbalance with other countries. You listed all the ones which are egregious violations of any kind of common sense and fairness, Sean. And also, President Trump is trying to protect American sovereignty, American security, American manufacturing, American jobs, America herself. I think President Trump would tell a lot of these companies, if not countries, tariffs are not his choice, they're your choice. If you don't want these tariffs, then start building more factories here, expanding your facility capacity, investing more in American workers, American innovation.
Right, and that's what we've heard from the administration, and they're putting all their eggs in that basket.
Okay. Company builds an American manufacturing hub. Okay. Invests a lot of money. The goods that are necessary for industrial output are still coming from foreign nations. What do you do in that situation? It's still going to be more costly. This is the problem with the universal tariffs regime that Donald Trump is implementing. Okay? That's the issue. You say it sounds like extortion. Fine. Okay? Sure, I don't have an issue with extorting capital owners to force them to bring back manufacturing to the United States of America. I don't have an issue with that at all. It's a fantasy. It is hilarious that, like, it is hilarious to me that Donald Trump is doing some of the fantasies of the left as well here. Like, the notion that you can just, like, bully capital owners to bring back manufacturing to the United States of America. If he was successful in his implementation, that is literally what I would want, okay? That is what I would want. Donald Trump undermining U.S. aid. Donald Trump shutting down Voice of America. Like, what are we doing? Also, Andrew Tate favorabilities are at net 29 negative is so funny. Why is Andrew Tate being polled here? The MAGA communists are in control. Andrew Tate more popular than Chuck Schumer on this list, by the way. Trump is now at a -7. Nobody likes any of the main politicians in the country. The sales department in my factory job bragged about how everyone wants American made, and we're American made, so the tariffs will help us. Meanwhile, we get our steel from China and have customers in Canada. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. You have designed global trade to be a certain way for decades and decades, and then you choose to undermine it for no real discernible reason. I know Trump is about to be live, chat. Don't worry. We're going to go there. We're going to go there soon. Okay?
If it works, it will be fantastic, but it is a gigantic experiment. It sounds like right now the conventional wisdom is, rather than the little deals, the little side deals with everybody.
I want to die.
Okay, you do 2% on us. It will probably be a 20% universal tariff, which is across the board. If they implement that, which would be immediate, according to the White House, it would bring the effective U.S. tariff rate to almost 33%, which is the highest since 1872, which, Brian, you were talking about McKinley with the very high rates back then. 33% is a big number. And I know there are a lot of people who are on fixed incomes who are watching. You know, they're watching their 401k account go down. Let's just hope today's announcement brings some finality and some clarity, because right now they don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just the one thing about Trump I noticed is that when things are tense, he gets the calmest. So when they attack his family, it's a little different. But you'll see ice in the veins through. He really feels as though this has been his vision since the 1990s. This is the World War II structure of trade. He wants to balance it out. And when you take these titanic plates and move them, there's going to be rumbling. People are going to get dislodged. But hopefully, they're going to get appeased, and the foundation will be real strong. Some said, wait for the tax cuts. Wait for them to pass the one big, beautiful bill, then do this.
God, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous that Donald Trump gets to do all of this, and he's doing it in the wrong direction anyway. I'm sorry. I just have to be so honest about this. Like, he gets to do everything. He gets to break everything. He gets to break everything for no real reason. And you know, he's the only guy who's allowed to do this stuff. It makes me so goddamn jealous, dude.